Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a good show planned for you today. But first, the forecast from our IntellectualRadio.com Weather Center. Today, partly sunny and pleasant. High 84 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy. Low 69 degrees. Tomorrow, pleasant with some sunshine here and there. High 83 degrees. Tomorrow night, partly clear. Partly cloudy. There's no such thing as partly clear. Partly cloudy. Low 70 degrees. The rest of the week forecast looks like this. Wednesday afternoon, thunderstorms will be in the area, so keep your eye to the sky. High 83 degrees. Thursday, mostly cloudy with a thunderstorm here and there. High 83 degrees. And on Friday, yes, Friday in Rio, watch out for this. Partly sunny and cooler, however pleasant, but the temperature will be like at night, 61 degrees. Yeah, the Drive at 5 is also part of the Monday Night Mogul with One Sister to Another with your girl Angela Johnson at 4 p.m. Straight No Chaser with your girl Real Ray Harris at 6 p.m. New Black Leadership at 7 p.m. and Chronicles of Rom at 8 p.m. There's this show that's so dope, they call it the Dope Show, and it's on 9 p.m. The Drive at 5 is also part of the fabulous 5 at 5, only on IntellectualRadio.com. Before we begin our show, I want to just say this show is dedicated to our family member who recently passed on. So IntellectualRadio.com. As you see her pictures here and also behind me, Nikki Martinez. So she's a trooper that's so dedicated and honorable as such as her and funny. That's her all the way. So we're going to dedicate this show to her. Today, my guest has a film that's going to be featured in this year's Black Harvest Film Festival called Fear. Please give a Drive at 5 welcome to my left. Introduce yourself.
My name is Chancey Smith. I am an independent filmmaker here in Chicago, former multimedia producer for Ebony Magazine. And yeah, I'm here on the Drive at 5.
You're going to start something. Go ahead.
I'm Harold Dennis, and I'm acting in Fear as a police officer.
That's it?
Oh, okay. Let me introduce.
You're
let me
part of the intellectual
myself.
family.
My name is HD. No. I'm Harold Dennis, and I'm an actor. I've been doing it for 20 years right here in Chicago. I venture out and do it in other places too, but I've done well over 100 films, and they just keep coming. I'm excited, and I'm very excited about this year's Black Harvest Film Festival and Fear. Definitely excited about Fear. That's why we're here.
Now, see, when you're going to have people fear to come on the show.
Fear not, for you are safe here at IntellectualRadio.com.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is, I have to follow that. Hi, my name is Okima Seven Gun, and I am a writer-blogger for Chicago Now. I'm also a film critic, and I am here with Roman.
Let me say, we must be hot if we got a critic sitting next to us, huh, Chan?
Yeah. Okay.
So please explain the feature film Fear. It's a short film, however compelling at times. Could you explain that to us?
Yeah, so Fear is a short film that's about a Black teen that gets shot by a police officer. And I think the important thing to pull away from Fear is the mental state of all of the characters and their reactions to the different emotions that they're feeling in these different situations that I put them in. So want me to go any further or?
No, we got 60 minutes to. No,
I got you.
joking.
You know, I just, you know what I'm saying?
Only
I just don't
60
wanna,
minutes.
I don't want to talk for 65 minutes. You know.
So, Mr. Dennis, okay, you're in the film. What was the compelling part of the film that kind of made you say, "Wow, this is something"?
Well, let me back up a little bit. I was on another set, and Chan was doing some helping out, doing some PA work or some sound, assistant director, and all of that on the set. And I was watching it, and I was like, she's the only one that's walking around looking like she knows what she's doing over here. And so right away, I introduced myself and says, I want to keep up with you. We became Facebook friends right away. This was just a few years ago. And when she said something about fear, I was like, her film, I says, yeah, I'm interested. I didn't know what it was yet. And then I came out and read for the part. And then I read with the other actors and saw it. I was like, oh, yeah, this is, at the same time, I didn't know exactly what it was until we got into that first rehearsal. I read the script, but I didn't realize that this film is actually like Okima said, it's from a lot of different viewpoints, whereas you can get a chance to look at us police officers and see what we're thinking, what's going on in our lives prior to the conflict, the meeting, and the kid's life, his friends, his mother, and it's a multi-dimensional film. And I was that was a drawing part. After we got into the rehearsals, I was just happy to be here. I think this story is gonna move around, and it's gonna be in multiple festivals. It's gonna raise a lot of awareness and be something to talk about. And just me talking to Seven at this event we were at the other night, last week, and she says, I got to see it. And then once she saw it, and here we are. So it's true. This is a very interesting film, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Question: what made, besides you, because you're the creator of it, Dennis and Okima, what made you say, I'm all in? But despite you saw her and she know what she was doing.
I was going right back there. I trust Chan, right? You think you trust some of these filmmakers out here, and you get in the midst of the film and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten involved with this.
Now, what makes you say that?
Just different reasons.
Yeah.
Different reasons.
A whole lot of reasons.
Different reasons. Whole lot of reasons. But from the jump, I'm so happy that I met Chan, and it was destined that we do Fear. So I met her and knew that I wanted to work with her. And then after that, she got involved with Ebony, and I was like, this is great. She's moving. I'm glad to be hanging out with her. And so here we are. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen, and so.
I think for me, Fear was more so of, like Harold said, the different perspectives. It wasn't just one perspective. I saw it was more neutral. You saw the perspective of the police officer, the mother, the teenager. You saw it wasn't pinpointed at one specific person. And I think because her film is such a broad spectrum of possibilities, that she has more of an interest. And then the other thing was, I noticed that she had, 8 months ago or 9 months ago, or maybe even longer than that.
I've been working on it for a while.
Right. So
it's like a 2-year process.
So she's been working on it for a while. And I said, well, she's worked on it for this certain amount of time and it's still relevant. I don't think the relevancy of the film will go away. I think it will continue to be an issue, considering all the problems in the community and the interactions with the police. This is an ongoing issue. So her film it won't cease to be an issue. There'll always be talking points and always something to bring to the table as far as somebody wanting to address these difficult issues.
I just wanted to add to the part about the different perspectives of the film. I wanted to make sure that in my storytelling, and that just comes from my background as a journalist. Just seeing each side of the story, each angle, and so I know that police officers get a bad rep. The media is something else. It's very powerful, and I do know that there are good police officers out there. One of my family members is a detective for the Chicago Police Department. So, I know that there's good people out there. So I wanted to, and I actually talked to her to try and get a little bit of backstory for the police officers because, we just killings all the time. We see these police involved shootings, and it's like we always end up seeing the end result. But I wanted to show up to the incident in the first place. What was the officer thinking? What was the teen thinking? Like, what kind of life did he go through to even get to that point of being in front of the barrel of a gun of a police officer? So,
as you all mentioned, has all kinds of emotions and perspective in it. The mother perspective thing in her home that sparked an argument.
mm-hmm.
The police take on it. Then you have the teen perspective. Now, how you combine all perspectives into one film that would leave questions instead of answers?
Yes. So, it being a short film, I don't think that there's enough time to tell everybody's story the way that I would like to. But the reason why I made it a short film is because I wanted it to be a piece. And that's why you don't see the solutions inside of the film. That's what I left it for. Like, once we're done with the film, that's when we can start the conversation. Because usually that's when the conversation starts, is after the victim has already shot or killed. So I wanted to open the conversation up to, community members, even police officers. At the private screening that I had, there were a couple of police officers there, and they actually came up to me and they were like, oh my God, like, I'm just so glad that you told the story the way that you told it, because it is telling, the things that we fear, with our lives. They're in a line of duty. Of course, they're up against and going into these dangerous situations. So she was just like, I'm just so glad, and you should definitely, hold a community screening where you're, getting, the teens in, you're getting the police officers in, and just having that open conversation of the connection between the community and the police officers. How can we make that connection better?
As a film critic watching Fear, what was your thoughts entering your mind as an African American woman, seeing a teen lying on the ground?
Okay, so when going into the film, I really was not too sure about the details of what the film was about. And again, Harold told me what the film was about before I saw it. But when I actually saw it, it moved me, and I really didn't know what to think about at first. I think my initial reaction was, how did he get to this place? She does show how he got there, but of emotion of frustration, because I feel like it could have been prevented. And there was a string of events that led up to how he got to be at that place, how he got to be in the alley. And it was just the wrong time. He shouldn't have been out there at that time. He shouldn't have left the house. There was a whole string of things that led up to how he got there. And I felt as though, he could have been my son. And so, or he could have been, somebody's brother, somebody's cousin. He could have been related to anybody. And I just felt as though I felt.
Now, to interrupt,
Yes.
You said the film made you be a part of the movie because it was hard. And you're saying this could have been, did you kind of like visualize you know what, that could have been my son, that could have been my nephew, that could have been X, Y, and Z. As a critic, did you get that sense
I
while
definitely
watching?
did. I do have a nephew. He's not a teenager, but he is African American, and like I said, it could have been a nephew, a cousin, anybody. And I feel as though these situations could be prevented if there's a communication and understanding about what's going on. Sometimes things can just happen in a matter of seconds, and we don't know how to react to things, and that's how things actually take place, because we don't react in the way that not that we're supposed to, but we react emotionally instead of thinking logically, and that could happen to anybody. So in this film, I felt as though I wasn't really blaming anybody. It was more of like, how could this happen? Why did we let it happen? How could it happen? And what could we have done to prevent this? And, community wise, as a parent, as a police officer, as a friend, I think this team, he was frustrated about a certain number of things. It wasn't just, about the weed, or I think he was stressed about college. He was just stressed about life in general. And maybe if somebody just would have sat down and talked to him and say, hey, you know what? It's okay to be frustrated, because I think as a teen, there's a lot of things that they have to deal with, and we may not necessarily get through to them. They don't verbalize their fear, their frustration, their anger. Not he particularly, I'm assuming, didn't have a father in the home, so that was another issue.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many things that he was dealing with. So he just walked out in frustration, and he's thinking, I'm just going to walk out on the street, and he wasn't thinking that he was going to be attacked. That was just not on his mind. He was just thinking, like, I'm a kid, I'm walking down the street, and he had no idea that he was going to die in the next couple of moments.
Right.
Carl, you play a police officer, and your partner is white. As I was watching the film, you started as a guy talk type of thing, you like black women. You like black women.
Yeah.
However, that made you side-eye your partner a bit. Describe that conversation and that turn that made you do a double take when you received that call.
Well, I'm the veteran of the two, and I'm the African American officer, by the way.
No.
And I have a lot of African American friends that are officers as well. And so my partner, he's new. He's kind of like a rookie, and he's a Caucasian. And we're working the beat, at night, and we're just having a conversation, more of I need to know you more, and you need to know me more. Let's just chat it up. Nothing's happening out here, so let's just talk. And so I'm humorous and getting him to tell me a bit about him, and we're talking and laughing. I say something like, name one African American actress that you like, all that type of stuff. And so we're being human, And so then we get a call, and then there's a past that he has that he reveals with his mother and so forth and so on. And so anyway, to make a long story short, he gets emotional, and he's ready to take the call in full stride. And I'm more like, let's just take it easy and let's take care of this, and let's ride out and see what we find. But he has a little more vigor, and he's enthusiastic about getting to the scene. And so it gets me to wondering who is this guy really?
And just to add to that, I just want to say, like, the way that this story was told is a perspective. It's not the perspective. So there's so many different situations when it comes to police involved shootings. You don't know who to blame. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just know that somebody got killed. Usually, we like to blame the officer, and the officers like to blame the victim. So it's I wanted to talk to my relative who was a who's a police officer, and she basically kind of gave me a little background on why police officers do the things that they do. Is because it's like pent up anger happened to them yeah, before they got on the force, or they feel like they have to take control of a situation at all costs. And so from that, that's where I developed the story of the Caucasian police officer, and just having him be the one that has this pent up anger, just take control of the situation. And he's a rookie, so he wants to make sure he does it right. So
There's one scene. Goes into a store, has a juice, put the juice, instantly come to mind.
yes, yes,
That's my perspective of
yeah,
watching it. You probably will get a different perspective of that when you're developed, you created.
yeah,
Was an image of Trayvon popped out as you. It's different in black and white. Using it, bam, this case, bam, that case, bam, this case. To reality.
yeah.
Your thoughts?
So honestly, this entire story was a mix of all of those police shootings. Trayvon Martin, Laquan McDonald, and I literally listened to of I forget his name. I think his name is I can't remember his name, and forgive me. It's just that my mind is blanking right now. But there was a young man that was shot by a police officer that was responding to that they received from the boy's father, dispute or something like that. And LaQuinton.
Yeah, I forgot the last name.
Yeah. So
yeah, LeGreur.
Look, yeah. So I listened to the actual police scanner of that, and just the way that the officer called in, he was definitely distressed. He was like, oh my God, I just shot, this kid. And, they're like, are you okay? The first thing that they ask on the dispatcher is, are you okay? And it's just like, man, like, what do we have to do to make civilian Black lives matter? You know what I'm saying? Where this question should have been, do you need an ambulance? Is the person still alive? Right. Can they be saved? Asking the police officer if he's okay. And I understand as a police officer, he's serving, but also, this is somebody else's life that was taken. And so I thought about Trayvon Martin. I mean, I've been following these protests since Trayvon Martin. I was actually at the front line of a lot of the protests that were happening in Chicago. The movement, talking to different people, their frustration, trying to understand my frustration. And, it's just a collection of all these different types of shootings. Like, the juice was something that a pivotal object in terms of what this kid was getting shot over. And it could have been anything. He was just reaching in his pocket trying to take it out. Seeing that I didn't shoot where the glass would actually fall to the ground, so people could know that, that's where that that's where the juice comes into play. But either way, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing constitutes somebody else's death. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if they're in the alley smoking. It doesn't matter if, they're just walking with their friends. Like, it doesn't matter if they're holding a can of iced tea and some Skittles. You know what I'm saying? Like, this does not constitute death.
As a critic,
Yes.
watching that particular scene, the image of Black Lives Matter image popped into your head as you were watching it as well?
They did. I felt as though Chan said that was a pivotal moment in the film, and those particular movements are those are talking points, and those are pieces that are obviously going to be discussed for a long period of time. Also, I felt as though so makes people angry when they see those things, and I understand that she did that for a certain reason to make those talking points and to get these discussions heard. I feel as though her shooting it that in that particular way it brings those images to mind. So that was a pivotal point in the story, because without that, then it could have been told a different way. Yeah. So if she had, let's say, for example, he was just walking down the street and he didn't have the juice, or maybe he said something different, the whole thing could have turned a different way.
Yeah.
He was shot in, because he wasn't shot in the back. He was shot
in the front.
Right, he was shot in the front. So maybe if he was shot in the back, again, that would have been a totally different story. Yep. So it depends on how you tell the story. Are they looking, is the police officer looking the person in the eye, or is the person running away? Those are pivotal things and very important details that makes up a film. Because, like I said, in an instant, anything could happen. So it's important how you tell the story and what you exactly want to convey to your audience. Because these particular groups like Black Lives Matter and just the Black community in general are going to respond in a certain way is how you tell the story. So how you tell the story is very important, and those details are key.
Harold, you played the police officer. You did not shoot. I can tell that part. You did. You had a reaction to that. Did you, the same, what we're discussing, Trayvon Martin, Chicago, Black Lives Matter, did that enter in your head as playing the role of a police officer?
Yeah, all of these things did enter in my head. And I'll say I did do a short about 5 years ago about the Trayvon Martin story too. Another filmmaker did a perspective, threw it up on YouTube. It's on YouTube right now. Trayvon Martin, Harold Dennis. You could find it there. And I played his father. And the whole film was the initial them getting into it, and then it was 20 minutes of just me going through the motions of looking for my son and trying to find him. And then I got that devastating phone call, and I reacted, and every response I get is tears, from the audience. And so about all of that and my history, and taking on the role of this cop, and all of these killings of brothers and sisters out here over a lifetime, obligation to, in the position of this cop, tell a perspective to obviously humanize him, because as an actor, I like every character I am, I do. And but also to make sure that the death of this kid, for whatever reason, being unarmed, something that should be recognized in the telling of the story. And so my responsibility was to react as I would normally react. I didn't pull the trigger. So there's a reaction. So now I have my human rookie partner. I have a dead kid on the ground, and there's me. As an actor, I have choices. So that was just one particular choice that I made when I did that. Yeah. Gave my response. And then at the end, everything settled down, and I had another reaction. That was obviously written dialogue, if you remember the film. And so, yeah, and that's just how it is. As an actor, you act and react. And there was a point that Akima made about looking at kids in the eye. I heard this where it's a year or two ago that some study or something, when there's a police officer and they're holding a gun on a suspect, be it black or white, they will look that white suspect in the eye, and the first thing they'll do is look at the black suspect's hands, and they're more likely to pull the trigger because they're not as a person. And that's my saying, not as a person by not looking them in the eye, but watching their hands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Be coming out is going back to the 60s, called Detroit.
Detroit, yes.
Watching the trailer and watching this, there are some similarities in there, and the dialogue is similar. From then to now, I know the movie hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
But you talk about the police dialogue. An African American cop. His perspective.
Yeah.
From a white police officer. What did you do? A frame, a cover up. What's going on?
So I was very careful in what happened during that shooting. And the thing with Detroit is, and with my film as well, these are very real situations. So you have to really think about what the response is going to be. I mean, there's so many different responses that you can have. But the one that I chose, and just as Harold was saying, it's about choices. The perspective that I chose was to have the police officer shoot the kid, and be in shock. He had never pulled the trigger before, to actually kill somebody, and to have the black police officer be more compassionate, because if when you watch the film, Harold was actually in 2 scenes in the movie. The first part was actually when the kid was being birthed. He was the officer that actually brought him into the world, and now to see him of the world, another police officer. So it's like really all about choices, and I feel like I did it that way is because I did want to show, and this this is just from what I know, or my perspective, but there is a silent code, that sometimes they cover each other up. If one person does wrong, it's like, okay, and we've seen it in the media, we've heard about it, where entire police departments will stand up for a police officer who clearly has murdered somebody, and that just adds to the frustration. So that's why I just wanted to tell it that way, because it is a conversation that needs to be had. Like, why do police officers band together like that when one has clearly committed a crime? Officer, it's just a question. It's a perspective.
When we come back on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station, more with Fear. And we're back on the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. To my left, introduce yourself.
Independent filmmaker here in Chicago on the Drive at 5.
I'm on the Drive at 5 as well, and I'm Harold Dennis, and I'm an actor here in Chicago for a long time.
I'm Okima Seven Gun, and I write with Chicago Now, and I'm on the Drive. And I'm just happy to be here with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I try this all the time. All together, you're representing what?
Fear.
From the Black Harvest Film Festival that's coming up real soon.
Yeah, here's the brochure.
Fear.
The 23rd year of the Black Harvest Film Festival. I'm a part of the community council for the last 5 years. I've had a film in there just about every year since '05. So
Wow.
it's an important festival to me here in Chicago, and it goes on the whole month of August, from August 5th opening night to August 29th closing night. And they show films from all over the world, shorts and features from the African diaspora, and it's awesome. There's something going on almost every night of the week, and you can go to the JaneSiscoFilmCenter.com and look up the film screenings for the Black Harvest Film Festival.
So that's you buying up all the tickets saying, oh, we got a hot seller here.
Sold out.
What inspired you to here? You discussed earlier it was a smorgasbord of everything. However, there was more to that, and I had a feeling it was more to that. So I want to ask, what inspired you? What? Don't put your hand on your head.
He's like, don't inspire me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap it all around. So need to intimidate.
Like, what are you talking about? I mean,
What you talking about?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do that? Because you said it's reality, mixed with fiction and perspectives.
Yeah.
So you come up with your own conclusion, but it's more. So what inspired you that say, you know what, I need to put this out there?
You know, it was really a tribute to the victims of police-involved shootings. It's just something that's been on my heart for a very long time. That's why it took a while to actually make it. And just being in the writing room with some of my writing team, my girl Toy, my friend Randy, we actually sat for hours trying to figure out how to tell this story. And very important story to tell. Passionate about justice, like social justice and social issues. You know, like I said, I've been at the front line of a lot of protests, just documenting and showing the world our frustration. And also, you know, it was something that I needed to do as a filmmaker to kind of my shell, and which it, you know, the title of the movie is Fear, but it plays two parts. A part of, you know, the mental state of all the characters, and you know how fear leads to different consequences, but it also meant for me, you know, getting over my own fear, being a filmmaker, and all the things that come with being a filmmaker. And it's not, you know, I know that I'm a very visual storyteller, very in-depth storyteller, very complex storyteller sometimes, and of that can, kind of get to me. But I just wanted to make sure I put this out there, that, this film was really a tribute to the fallen victims of police involved shootings.
The interaction between the mom and her teenage son was very revealing, and a single mother or anybody that has a single parent household can identify with. Explain that part to us specifically.
Yeah, so the part that you're referencing is the part where it comes home and the mom finds a bag of weed, bag of marijuana,
Or what Earl called doobie.
the doobie, the doobie. She finds a bag of that, and she confronts Trey about it because, I mean, she doesn't know that her son smokes weed. So she confronts him about it, into an argument about basically, Trey just wants to be a man. He wants to be his own man. He's 18. He wants to do whatever he wants to do. He don't want nobody telling him what to do, not even his own mom. So I think that it shows that, one, he's outgrowing his nest. He wants to explore. He wants to be on his own. He wants to, define who he is. And for two, it shows the fear of the mom, because in the earlier scene when she actually gives birth to him, and they say it's a boy, she has a look on her face like, it's almost like man, because it gets to a point where single moms, or not even single moms, but women in general, don't even want to have sons because they know the type of trouble that they can get into. They know against them, everything that's against them. You have so many things against the black man right now, so many things. And this is something that I've actually heard, like a woman actually said, like, I don't even want to have sons because I'm afraid for their life. And so that scene in particular is really Trey breaking away from the nest, and the mother is just fearful because she knows that he's about to be on his own and that she can't protect him. So,
Will there be a sequel? Briefly, yes, no.
no, somebody asked me that, and I was just like, no, this is something that it was just to get off.
Well, Harold said he needs to work, so will there be a sequel?
No. I'm just gonna keep it where it is. I'm just gonna keep it where it is.
Now, earlier you mentioned down the line, can this be shown in schools or, public settings, community events? What will be your interpretation of trying to get, let's say, CPS or educational venues to start dialoguing and say, you know what, let's invite the police commander and watch the film with him so they can, start dialoguing. This is what I see. Tell me what you see.
Yes. I think that that would be a very important thing. Like if I was able to do that, I think that it would bridge the gap between the community and the police force. I think that it would create a conversation that's really needed to be had. And I feel like a lot of the issues that we have between the community and the police force is a miscommunication. Like, sometimes the police officers, they just drive around the neighborhood. They don't even get out and talk to the people. And so it's like the people are not familiar with, these people that are coming into their neighborhoods every day. And it's like, we have to bridge that gap. Like we have to create a sense of like trust between the community and the police force, because I think that's the only way that this, this, that it's going to get better.
Now, briefly, Okima, I almost drew a blank there. How can people get their film or critiqued? And Harold, get their film in the Black Film Festival, Harvest Film Festival? Because of timing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It depends with me on the topic of the film. A lot of people reach out to me for film critiques, but I can't necessarily get to all of them. So it depends on like my particular interest in the film. There's a lot of amazing films out there that I just may not be able to get to. But I am online. I have Facebook. I have a public Facebook page. I'm at Writer 7G 7 Gun Media. You can reach out to me there. I'm also on Twitter. I'm Writer 7G on Twitter, and I have Instagram, which is 7gun SEVENGUNN. You can reach out to me there. But I do have a passion for film critique, and I would like to see some new films that perspectives. I feel as though I can't see everybody's film, but every once in a while I will reach out to a filmmaker and try to, because I feel like in the community it's something that's needed. Just like I reached out to Chan. So if you have something that's a talking piece that somebody, there's a buzz. There was a buzz about Chan's piece, so I reached out to her. But if you have a film that's amazing and it's really something that needs to be seen, then I may reach out, or you may reach out to me and I may critique the film.
Harold, how they can briefly, we only got seconds.
To get your film in the Black Harvest Film Festival, you go to the Gene Siskel Film Center website. You can Google it, Gene Siskel Film Center, and there's a submit button, but they're not taking submissions right now. I think they'll start back at the beginning of next year. So just keep an eye out at the Gene Siskel Film Center for the Black Harvest Film Festival.
They can get in contact with you.
I am on Twitter and Instagram as Black Film Smith, BLK Film Smith. Facebook, Chancey Smith. Yeah.
You emphasize that black in there.
Black. Black. I'm black.
Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer, Wanda, who's behind the scenes, and Toya, who's also over there. Rhea Ray as well. Rhea Ray, who is up next with Straight No Chaser. Again, our condolences to Nikki Martinez. This show is dedicated to you. You're a trooper. We will deeply, deeply miss you here on IntellectualRadio.com. Have a good one. Guys, want to take some hits?
Yeah.